Hey everybody, this is Dark Guardsman, and I've got another video for you. Now this is going to be a bit of an unusual, strange kind of video, but at the same time, kind of interesting. So what you're looking at in front of you is part of a mod I made back in 2013 with the help of Calclavia. We did a Modjam, I think it was Modjam number 3, and we created this, which was one of the early version 2 prototypes of what was the Artillects mod. One of the concepts to make essentially NPCs for Minecraft was the original concept, but somehow turned into drones at some point. And the version 1 I made had some interesting drones in it that were pretty high detailed, and then of course we did a version 2 because Calclavia was also interested in the concept of making drones, and we tried to work together in those early days before the UE team kind of fell apart. So this is one of the buildings. Let me go get ahead and go outside to show a better view of it. I decided just to kind of start randomly in one of the chambers. I probably should have went outside first. So go ahead and do this. Now this, the version of the Minecraft this is on is 1.6.4. I know, pretty ancient. I don't even know if half the chat commands even work properly. But you can see the building here. So this is one of many of the drone complexes that can actually spawn. And there's a variety of them. I don't know if this version contains all of them because we did continue working on the mod after the mod jam, but it never went anywhere. Mainly from a combination of I kind of wanted to do my own thing, Calclavia wanted to do his own thing, people were busy, and it just didn't happen. It was something that was too ambitious at the time, and we really probably should have spent a little more time designing it and figuring out where we actually wanted to go with it, and then committing to some kind of methodology. As you can tell, not all the entities ended up getting textured. Now, I think I'm running an older copy of it. I did actually end up finding 2 copies of this. It took me a while to find these. I actually had to go and talk to the mod jam team, and they eventually gave me some files. I actually also got the source code from Calclavia, and of course found some of my old source code for this as well. So I have all the code for this now, which is pretty cool because that means at some point I can bring this mod back to life. But the mod does contain a variety of things. So there's a lot of decorative blocks. Some of these have functionality, some of them don't. I don't remember the entire mod. I think these first 6 do not have any functionality. I think they're entirely decorative. I believe the textures for these were made by a few people. I believe one of the people was Artillects that helped us with it, if I remember his name right. It's really been a long time. I think he made some of these textures. Some of these textures were made by other people. I don't remember who made what. I'm pretty sure the building generator was probably made by me because it does look like my handiwork. I think the schematic creator tool might have been one of mine, or it might have been somebody else's. Some of these models I did make, some of these models I did not make. You can probably tell which ones. I think these first 2 were Calclavia. I don't at all know what that one was. Yeah, it is really hard to tell who made what models and when, because it really has been that long. It has been 5 years since anybody's ever looked at this mod or did anything with it. But yeah, so you can see some of the decorative blocks though used in the building. So we've got the building. It is built. This is built with a component-based system. So for 1.6, it was actually pretty advanced with how this is built out. Is that there was a generator that actually understood the different layouts of the room. So we actually used this schematic creator to actually output blueprints. So I would actually make a blueprint, and then I would use a series of code generators and stuff like that to actually build out the entire rooms and generate these. I think these were actually more in code than they were the schematic generators, although some parts of these are actually blueprinted and some parts not. So there's like 4 buildings that are pre-built with this, and these do randomly spawn in the world. So I did not actually spawn this. This actually is how it existed, and we actually wander off. I think we will find another one 400 meters away. I can tell how old the graphics are for this version is. There's a little bit of aliasing going on with the trees. Yeah, I think we might find another one if we roam around. We'll probably run into some of the drones too as we go, so I won't have to spawn them all in. But if we get to a point near the end that I haven't run across all of the different drones and building types, I'll go ahead and spawn a few so we can look at them. So wander away from that one. I could have swore there was also a command at some point we could actually find the hives. That was always a big worry for the mod jam, is that we would put all this stuff in the world and somebody would go to play it and they wouldn't find any of the stuff. So we actually upped the spawn rate of a lot of the creatures to really high levels, and we increased the spawn rate, I think, of the buildings as well. That makes me believe this might have been an earlier edition of it, like built a couple days before the mod jam was over. Let's go roam around. I'm not seeing another building. So let's go ahead, and I guess this spot would probably be just good enough to start spawning stuff so we don't have to make a super flat. So there, of course, is 4 buildings. So we have the hive complex, which is what we just saw. There's a fabricator test. I believe some of these rooms were never properly finished, and that's the reason why we probably won't see all of them in the world. The hive we definitely will see in the world. Of course, we already saw one. Go ahead and place this. It does take a while to load. This is not threaded. There's no special code that really makes it run better. If I did this in newer versions, not only would I probably thread it, but I'll probably actually use the built-in Minecraft building generation system, the same stuff that the village uses. Because you can actually calculate how many chunks your hive would take up, or how many chunks your building structure would take up. This is not unique just to this stuff. And go, okay, chunk A, B, C, and so on are going to have each of these pieces in it, and then figure out everything that's going on with it. Another cool thing about this is one of the earlier versions we also did with it, the drones could rebuild these, so if you actually broke these are actually indestructible blocks. So if you actually found out your way into a hive, you cannot mine through it, but of course we're in creative mode so we can have fun. And we can just dig our way down. So this looks like this might have spawned above ground all the way, so there's nothing below us. So let's go ahead and find our way out of it. And of course we can just go ahead and break these. I know in a later version, these were eventually animated, so they're not animated in this version. So I may have to make another video here later just showing off the animated versions. But we can actually zoom out and find the whole building. This is a huge, massive building. When they spawn pretty much from bedrock straight up. That's the way you actually get this building on the top. We have it, I believe, coded so that way this will show up at 64 or world height, I believe. Something like that. It is mostly a replicated building, so you can tell definitely that we're just using like pre-built pieces and connecting to each other. But once again, in 1.6.4, this was pretty advanced for most stuff because you didn't see a lot of mods doing world generation like to this scale. This was something I decided, I was like, oh yeah, we're going to make this. We also made things like teleporters. So that's the reason why I said the first 6 of these are decorative, and then the next 5 of these are not. These are actually teleporters that you could use. The way I had this coded up is that there should be a teleporter per level. Actually, it should be, I think, 2 teleporters per level. And what you can do is you can just right-click these, and they will take you to another floor, and you would... Normally, you would fight stuff on your way through here, but of course, with this being a manually spawn one, there is no spawn points in here, so there's nothing to generate actual entities. But you can roam around in here, and you find another teleporter, and this will take you another floor, and you can just keep roaming around and finding more and more teleporters. Now, these all have their own unique frequency. I will show the frequency later because there is a bit of extra stuff with it. When Calclavia designed this, he decided he was going to put all the tooltips as voiceovers. So I definitely will show that at another time. But yeah, we can navigate our floor. The concept was going to originally be, but we never did finish this, is that you would start up the top, fight your way all the way down, and at the very bottom would have been a large chamber that never got completed that would have had a boss in it. You would fight the boss, kill the boss, and then the building would die. So it would slowly start to decay, all the NPCs, and it would slowly start to die off and everything else. And there would be tons of NPCs, and not all of them will be aggressive too. So we have a worker NPC, fabricator, and the workers actually did work. These aren't just some NPC that would float around that would passively walk around like a pig. They actually would do actual things. I don't know how much of the code is in this version because we broke it when we were working on it, but you would have a worker here, and he would actually go from chest to chest, picking up items, sorting stuff around. He would smelt items, and of course he's got a voiceover. By the way, the person who did the voiceovers for this were Calclavia.
This requires consideration.
I don't think he actually considered what he was doing when he made this, because they're probably some of the most annoying things ever.
Maybe you should pay attention for once.
I'm gonna kill this drone. Give me like 2 seconds here. This is a good opportunity to show off the plasma cannon. Okay, it's dead. So yeah, Calclavia didn't give a lot of consideration to like doing the voiceovers for this, and when he originally added them, and I got the source code, I believe it was the next day after he put the stuff in, because we worked, because he was in China and I was in the US, what would actually end up happening on the Modjam is I would work for 10 hours and then stop, and he would then pick up and work for a couple hours, maybe upward 8 or 10 hours as well. And then he would do his stuff, and then we would switch back and forth, which worked incredibly well, actually. It's the reason why we got the mod as far as we did in the weak location that you had for the Modjam. But he put these voiceovers in here, and I got the code the next day. He didn't do any real check into the frequency of these voices. So he simply went, okay, the voice works, and he moved on. But you heard those lines, how quickly they were behind each other. The original version, those lines popped almost every other tick, almost every other second. So you would hear like a line after line after line after line after line after line, and it would drive you nuts. Anyways, we'll show a couple more of these and hope the lines are not horrible. There's a couple nasty ones in there because he got a lot of lines from Portal and he just used them. So we have the fabricator. This guy, entire job when we designed him was to build and repair these buildings. So what he would do would roam around and he would rebuild the building. He would extend it. The concept we were going to have is that the building would generate like this, but then you had a lot of these little edge rooms. So what was supposed to happen is the fabricators and workers would pile out the door, make mine shafts, dig trenches, start to lay actual more foundation for buildings, start to build furnaces and everything else. We never got it to that. Yeah, that's one of those lines that definitely should have not been put in there. We got things like demolishers. This is probably one of the first attack drones, one of the ground-based attack drones, and it doesn't look like it ever got finished.
You should pay attention for once.
Wow, that's pretty bad. And you can see there is quite a few different issues. Did I kill that? But this is also one of the really cool features we also did. They actually do have item drops, and the item drops are actually usable. You could take this metal gear and use it in Buildcraft. You could take the chips and actually use them in things like mechanism and stuff. So they actually had a lot of usage. There's a few flying drones. Of course, there's a tank drone. So we have the tank drone, which works really well. It's actually probably one of the better ones in this. And of course, we have a flying version of which I'm going to go up to the top for this. These ones actually work really well. They're based on some, I believe, either earlier code or maybe I based some later code on them. It is really hard to remember exactly what had happened with these. I ended up making Borg eye cubes at some point that basically use similar code to these guys that could fly around. I'll show those guys off if I can ever find them, because that code was amazing. These guys will fly around and they'll kill stuff. And they're actually coded to stay near the ground. They're not very good at it, but they're okay. Of course, they're designed to patrol the edge of the area and actually kill stuff. The tank drones are also supposed to patrol stuff. The demolisher drone is supposed to be a melee drone. It's also supposed to patrol, but it's more patrol inside the building. These guys are patrol outside the building. Of course, a lot of crafting stuff. Let's show off a couple more of the buildings here, and then I'll get into like everything else, and then we'll finish off here. So we have the fabricator test. This is one of the ones we were working on to actually test the ability to actually craft items, smelt resources, because the idea was these were supposed to play exactly like the players, so they were going to be incredibly fair. They were not going to be basically cheating, which is what most AIs do. I just messed that command up. Time set day. So most AIs that are building games actually cheat. They're given resources. They're basically told, oh, and I crashed the game. So I did fear that might have happened. And let me go ahead and fix that so you guys can see my taskbar. So I did figure out that this was probably going to happen at some point. It was going to crash. So we're going to go ahead and load it back up and continue our testing. So I forgot the fabrication test does crash due to the fact it tries to spawn the fabricator, so the actual drones with it, and that doesn't like to do that. So we can't do the fabricator test. That might have been fixed in a later version. I don't remember. You can see the wonderful beauty of like earlier versions, how quickly they load. That was instantaneous. And there's actually several mods in here. There's actually ICBM in this little load up. Calclavia core ICBM. I have Universal Electricity in here. I was actually I hunted down some older mods at one point in time and actually was playing around with them. It's a really good idea to sometimes go back and look at your earlier work and then figure out where you're doing. So yeah, this was the fabrication test, or at least it's part of it. You can see a core here. So every building actually has a core. If you kill this core, then the building dies. It's what actually runs a lot of the logic, because we didn't really have a good way to do that back then, or rather the better way to say it, we didn't know how to do it back then. We had tried many different things. One of the earlier versions of Artillects I actually built, and I think it's earlier, don't quote me on this, I might be misremembering everything, was a version that actually did use an out-of-world version of the core to then go around and track how everything was built. And it would actually place traps inside the building, spawn points, so you could have the floor cave down and you could have a wall appear behind you. It was a really cool version. If I ever find that, I definitely want to show that one off, because that one had a lot more effort than this one. Even though this one has a lot of more building generation code in it, the other version had a lot more like small cool features in it. So anyways, we're not going to do the fabrication. I do want to try the processor room real quick and see if it works. It might crash. Okay, so we got the processor room. Yeah, this is one of the ones that actually does have furnaces in it. We were going to build actual custom furnaces for this, and it does have chests. It looks like there's some issues with how the code is running, because you can see how the chests are not rotated properly. Well, that might be intentional. We might have added some randomness to it just to make it look better. This was probably one that was built with the schematic tool by the looks of it. Yeah, we're not looking at ICBM, although you can see earlier version of ICBM back when it had the railgun still in it and everything else. So yeah, it might have been built that way. So there's actually a schematic creating tool. This one actually can build schematics and export them. I'm not going to show that off because I just honestly don't remember how it works. I'll go dig out the code another time and show it off. We have a similar feature in Volt's engine in the more modern versions that actually use the same code. And there should be a teleport pad, so this is another thing. There we go, teleport pad. Looks like it's a really basic one that might be just built as a dev tool in order to do things. And this actually will teleport you places. They're randomly generated frequencies, but even though they're randomly generated, they actually, I think there's only a handful of frequencies. Because how the frequencies are built is you use these 4 tiles, put it around there, and they'll set the frequencies. And it's actually a really simple system. It's really nice. And I've had quite a few people ask me to update this, including DMod, which is one of our guys that works on the team. It's a little simple teleport pad. Now here's another voiceover, by the way. I'm going to show this off. I said I would show this off at the end. Shift right click.
The HUD consists of many portals linking different levels together. The teleporter generates a unique frequency based on the 4 block combinations adjacent to the block, something you cannot make.
Yeah, there's actually quite a few of those hidden in this. I haven't found them all, and that's the reason. Another reason why I think I am running an older version is I was really sure that Calclavia put basically an in-game manual into this that had about 30 minutes worth of voiceover in it. I could be wrong on that, but I remember it existing, and I was like, not the greatest ideal you've ever had, Calclavia, but it did work. I mean, the ideal he was trying to do was teach people how to use the mod. Outside of that, this is a pretty simple mod. There's not a lot here. You can't really craft anything. And really, this was just going to be kind of like an open world thing you could go and raid and you would get rewards. You would pick up elite circuits and stuff that you could use in crafting everything else. Because you had a war dictionary, you use the metal plates in crafting everything else. And you might find like a plasma gun, although the plasma gun was never finished. But it just basically shoots a small little grenade that explodes. Kind of fun. It's actually modeled after, I believe, the plasma gun in one of the Halo games. But I'm going to leave you guys here, and I'll be back with another video, hopefully showing off some more of the internals of how all this stuff works, show a few different things. So I really want to go through a lot of these old mods and show off stuff that we used to make, because we are going to revive this stuff. It is actually, at this point, confirmed that after I go through and get ICBM updated, and I then revive Atomic Science, and I'm going to actually revive this one because it'll be a perfect addition to take something like, say, ICBM and actually blow stuff up. And you know what? This would be a good reason to actually come over here with a red matter and blow up what's left of this. If these are indestructible, this probably won't turn into much, but who knows? It might work. Good to see the 164 version is the one we removed. However, it looks like there's a bit of a render issue with that. I don't know if that's intentional or not. Seems to be working. Okay, see you guys later though.